Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Thanks for joining us today. Today we'll be speaking about what happened when Bitcoin crashes. Please watch the whole video to find out all the details. If you're new to our channel, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell. Alright then, let's get started. One essential guideline to making investments, including Bitcoin, is to learn to accept unpredictability. Given the unpredictable nature of the investment business, where the graph swings violently, riding the wave requires a strong heart. Bitcoin trading will be no exemption. Much has occurred since the enigmatic Satoshi Nakamoto gave the original Bitcoin requirement proof of concept in 2009. On February 9, 2011, the cryptocurrency gained parity with the US dollar at a 1-to-1 ratio 2 years later. It designates that a Bitcoin can be acquired for $1. Since then, Bitcoin has been on a roller coaster journey, peaking at $62,006.92 on April 17, 2021. To keep things in context, the price of Bitcoin has increased by almost 62,600% from February 9, 2011 and April 17, 2021. Yes, the number may be bewildering, but that is precisely what it is. The crypto was trading at $48,616.15 on August 29th. However, the $1 million verge expected by visionaries has yet to be reached. Although Bitcoin supporters may dispute, most analysts think that the current price rise is a bubble. For them, the concern is when, not if, the value will plummet. What will be the consequence of such a catastrophe as a consequence of that question? Since it first appeared on the investment prospect, Bitcoin has gone through multiple minor and significant boom and bust cycles. Here are two prominent crashes that are still conferred. Bitcoin lost more than 80% of its value between April 10th and April 12th, 2013. The cryptocurrency's value soared in December 2017 at over $20,000, and it has since plummeted. When it pertains to Bitcoins, there are contradictory lookouts. Bitcoin, according to Warren Buffett, is a hazardous and volatile asset. Despite the indecision, what makes Bitcoin so tempting is that, unlike recognized investors who buy in vast quantities, individuals can own a portion of this cryptocurrency down to the 8th decimal point. Then it seems sensible that Saylor tweeted last year that he has 17,732 Bitcoins worth $9,882 each. This statement was made long before the MicroStrategy corporate integration framework, which he leads, did so. Digital currencies were mentioned briefly in a study recently released by the Financial Stability Oversight Committee, which lists concerns to financial stability. Digital currencies, according to the organization, have a minimal impact on economic sustainability. It's most likely due to the existing Bitcoin ecosystem's modest size. Subprime mortgages were the final significant financial mechanism to cause economic instability in the United States. A complicated cocktail of elements came together to cause that crisis. Entities from the economic mainstream took part in the process actively. Subprime lenders, for instance, took out improper loans all over the United States. Big international banks structured these loans as derivative securities and sold them to investors, spreading the sales around the economy. The leverage epidemic was carried even further around the world thanks to collateralized loan obligations. Citigroup Inc. has acquired an approximated $19.7 billion in subprime mortgages at the peak of the recession. Bear Stearns, a financial institution that failed in the aftermath of the financial crisis, had a vast portfolio of subprime mortgage-related derivative products. On the other hand, Bitcoin has been unsuccessful in escaping its outcast status inside the financial services industry. Its prices have risen inside the boundaries of uncontrolled exchanges that have yet to be scrutinized by regulatory authorities. Individual investors and bots are the key actors in these markets, according to recent studies. The Bitcoin frenzy has mostly eluded financial firms and investment businesses, and their commitment to the cryptocurrency markets, if any, is minimal. While Bitcoin-related stocks have increased in value, their number is still tiny. Despite Bitcoin price, the comparatively muted response to CBOE futures trading has risen by more than 1,800% this year, indicating the finance industry's conservatism. Goldman Sachs required a 100% margin for Bitcoin deals, even as a freight forwarder for CBOE Bitcoin futures. Instead of the subprime mortgage catastrophe, the Bitcoin market bubble demise could be compared to Amsterdam's tulip frenzy in the early 17th century. tulip prices soared during the boom thanks to the participation of cobblers, carpenters, bricklayers, and woodcutters. However, because significant financiers kept away, the tulip price crash had a minimal impact on the general Dutch economy. As per Dutch researcher Nicholas Posthumus, only casual traders charged high tulip prices for greed and profit. When prices plummeted, it was these people who have suffered the most. Similarly, drop in Bitcoin prices will cause a sell-off that will only affect a small number of individuals. According to the online site Axios, the monetary impact of a Bitcoin crash is estimated to be $250 billion. However, the estimate reveals a misunderstanding of cryptocurrency's utility in economics. Blockchain, the technology that underpins Bitcoin, has already attracted significant investment. Aside from that, Bitcoin's price changes indicate that it's establishing itself as a measure of wealth. Cryptocurrencies can also be used to transfer value within restricted ecosystems. Any acquisition is primarily made to make again. If the returns were more prominent, the investment would be higher. It was the thinking of Saylor and his ilk who preferred Bitcoins over gold. In 2020, Bitcoin surpassed all other investments by 318%. Bitcoin and comparable cryptocurrencies have tremendously fluctuating prices. Their values will swing among ups and down all the time, making it harder to predict whether they will climb or decline. No one can say that with any degree of certainty or clarity. Nonetheless, as an investor, you should proceed with precaution when purchasing Bitcoins. When the value of the assets rises rapidly, a catastrophe is more likely to occur. At the very least, there will be a correction when the price returns to a more normal level. That's the current state of affairs for Bitcoin. However, no one can honestly say what a normal Bitcoin price is. It took 11 years to reach $20,000 per coin, but only 3 weeks for Bitcoin's price to double. 2013 was a pivotal year for the money. The value of Bitcoin 8 years ago rose from $13.40 at the start of the year to $1,156.10 in December, before plummeting to around $760 3 days later. By 2020-2021, the price had risen by more than 700% in just 12 months. Bitcoin and those who have invested in it have been on a roller coaster ride of late, with prices increasing and falling dramatically in response to several news items. To summarize, the market has experienced tremendous ups and downs in recent months. On December 16, 2020, the price of a coin reached $20,000 for the first instance. Value reaches a new high of $63,375 on April 13, 2021. For the first time in 5 months, it falls below $30,000 on June 22, 2021. Bitcoin reached its highest level since May on August 2, 2021 at $40,000. Price re-enters the $50,000 range on August 23, 2021. Value goes up to $67,000 on October 20, 2021. Bitcoin reached $58,000 on October 27, 2021, up to $68,000 on November 10, 2021, on November 18, 2021, down to $59,000. However, it'll be some time until the relevance in application domains is appreciated. The present price gain in various cryptocurrencies is primarily due to a domino effect caused by Bitcoin's growth. A Bitcoin price drop is almost sure to cause a price correction in other cryptocurrencies. It's also confident that the vast mainstream of Bitcoins currently listed on exchanges will vanish. Only digital currencies with well-defined business models and straightforward utility and public consciousness will be able to weather the storm. Well, that's all we have for today. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Ciao!